Hey guys, SD here. So welcome to this week's episode of the Walking Dead SpoilerCast. I've got my notes ready, and my weird lighting. And if you're ready, let's get started. So I'm just gonna get right off the bat. No Negan, no Eugene, no fun stuff this episode with the Saviors. However, we do start with the only honeymoon Rick and Michonne are ever gonna get in their lives, which is the two of them going off searching for food and guns and whatever. Mostly guns, I think, for the weirdo group that they encountered. Yeah, they're having a grand old time with it. They're searching, finding stuff, getting together in the evening, making a little bit of sweet love, and then moving on. And Rick keeps talking Michonne into a couple more days. That's what we open up with. Then we move on to Rosita, who's still in her funk about, how we can't just go and put a bullet in Negan's head because, if we did that, then everyone else is going to die. But, who cares? Because at least he'd be dead. My revenge would be gone. But whatever. She apparently is so badass she can pull stitches out of her own face without having to wait for someone who's medically trained. Or use, some sort of special cream to avoid scarring or whatever. Because, that's what she's doing when Tara comes up. And, Tara's all like, I could have done that. And she's like, nah, it's done. Whatever. I don't care. I swear to God, people... I understand the need to want to, in your mind, bring justice, but to the exclusion of everybody else. Basically, you're almost as bad as the person who killed your loved one. But anywho. And again, Tara's getting secondhand guilt tripped about Oceanside is the name of the group, I realized at the end of the episode. Not revealing the fact that she ran into Oceanside. Alright. So, moving on from that, we cut back to Michonne and Rick, who are, Michonne's making coffee and quietly waking Rick up with his coffee and, then telling him to hush because she heard something. It turns out to be a deer. And as they're following the deer, they come across, basically, it's like an abandoned military station, which for some reason had a carnival built out back, and there's a mix of civilians and army guys with guns still strapped to them, just wandering around all dead and stuff. And it's all closed in, so no one's really wandered off. And it looks like it's pretty good. Meanwhile, Rosita, who's gone off looking for guns, because of course she did by herself, sees what looks like a gun in the doorway of this abandoned trailer and goes up, and this, very large female walker comes out, and she's all, bloated and everything, and Rosita can't swing a machete to save her life. I don't know what the hell she was going for, because she, cuts the woman's throat, and it cuts the woman's throat again. It's like maybe she was trying to behead her, I don't know. From that angle, not a great move, Rosita. You're not a tall woman. Gets sludge just spewed all over her from the walker's body, and finally just chops her dead in the forehead, which she should have done to begin with. Now she's covered head to toe in walker funk, which is probably perfectly fine because now that means she can sneak around more easily. Picks up the gun. It's a toy gun. Got one of those little orange things on the front of it, so she got gunked for nothing. Yeah, Rosita, just take this as a sign. Back down. Maybe the universe is trying to tell you something. So we go back to Rick and Michonne, who have now climbed on top of the main building where the fair is out back, carnival, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely one of those little podunk town type things. And they're standing up there, and they had managed to pull a sniper rifle off the first walker they encountered. And so Michonne's taking aim at some of the walkers, and Nah, it turns out she's shooting bottles at the shooting gallery that's in the fair. And it's like, really? Yeah, that's what you're wasting bullets on? That's what you're trying to attract walkers to you with? And they're talking about, we can take out these ones, we can take out those ones, we can clear up, take the guns, whatever. When, bam, they fall through the roof. Who did not see this one coming? Nobody who's been watching the seasons. I mean, really. The number of times we've seen collapsed roofs or, have had people with collapsed roofs, happen to them. There's standing water on the roof when you climbed up there. It's probably compromised. Hell, I'd be up there, I'd start bringing a stick with me, just kind of gently poking, because if it starts to go through the roof, I ain't walking on it. I'll walk around the edge. Luckily for everyone, they did not actually get hurt. It's so funny. They're, laying there laughing. This is a great thing. So then we cut to a commercial break and come back. Because we see them fall through the roof. We see the hole in the roof. And then we hear them laughing. To me, it seemed like a rather long pause between when they fell through and when you hear the thump. So I thought maybe like they had hit an extra large basement or something. But then you hear them laughing. I don't know. And then they cut to commercial break. And they come back. And it's Rosita who goes to mouth off to Gabriel. Rosita's basically blaming Gabriel for telling her not to do what she did. And, saying, oh, if I hadn't listened to you, then, all these other people would be alive. And I'm sitting here like, okay, did I miss something? Because I'm pretty sure Rosita took a shot and missed and hit the baseball bat. And that's what wound up with, having Eugene go missing or, get taken and everything else. I guess maybe what she was referring to is the fact that had she taken the shot earlier, Negan would have been dead and none of that stuff would happen. And her taking the shot was in reaction to Spencer's death. And did Olivia die too before she took the shot? Or no, Olivia died afterwards. But yeah, it's like, okay, bitch, you still took the shot. And then Eugene got taken because you took the shot. Don't blame Gabriel for this. You're just looking for someone to blame because you want somebody to blame. And Gabriel basically tells her, no, you can't blame me for anything that's happening. You're still alive, so you still have shit to do. So move on, do whatever shit you need to do. Okay. So, we cut back to Rick and Michonne, who obviously, like I said, they're fine. They fell through the floor. They're laughing, they're having a great time, they're thinking, oh, is this a sign? They look around. Yeah, it's a sign. There's a shit ton of RTEs in there. For those of you who are not military-based, RTE is a ready-to-eat meal. It's like a complete pouch with a main course and side dishes, like fruit and stuff, and, ground coffee and everything else. There are boxes upon boxes of flats and crates and everything else in here, just stock full of food, which, is great. That's awesome. They found plenty of food. So, of course, they start digging in. They light every candle they can find, apparently, because there's like 100 candles in this nice... They're having a candlelight dinner. I'm telling you guys, this is their honeymoon. They're having their honeymoon. Lovely candlelight dinner, eating straight out of the bags, because, why bother heating anything up? If you're hungry enough, you'll eat cold chili mac, which apparently Rick did fine. And they're talking about plans for the future. What are they going to do after this? What are they going to do after that? How many kids and white picket fences and everything else? It doesn't actually go that far, but they're just talking. Just having a grand old time, and Rick breaks out the combination chili and mac and cheese pouch, and then it cuts to him sitting up. Obviously something's bothering him in the middle of the night, and Michonne dead asleep. He probably, knocked her out or whatever. Commercial break. First word of the night is 1. Do with that as you will. I never take part in the little contest things because I never win anything. But, it's probably like correlated. If you don't play, you don't win. But anyway, if you play, feel free to use the words. I don't know how it works. So we come back, and it's Tara and Judith sitting, chilling, hanging out. Tara is confessing all of her deep, dark, innermost troubles to the child who cannot obviously repeat them. Doesn't appear to be looking around to make sure no one's overhearing this, which is like a very common writing theme, which is, someone overhears something you didn't want heard. Wearing the bracelet from, Chickadee in Oceanside, who gave it to her, gives it to Judith. Yeah, we see Judith. Judith is still around. She has not been eaten. She's not, she's adorable. She's got a lovely head of hair. I'm not sure whose head of hair she has, because as I recall, she looks kind of blonde, I thought. But I thought, what's her name, Rick's wife and Rick's ex-partner, I thought the two of them both were dark-headed, but I don't know. Whatever. I'm not gonna... there could have been a third person involved. Who knows? Whatever. So... she confesses all of her stuff. I actually have to confess, I didn't catch the tail end of the conversation, so I didn't know where Tara had gone with it. Because I had a sudden tummy emergency, and I had to run out of the room, and I could not get AMC up on my phone fast enough to get back to watching the show before it cut away to Rick and Michonne enabling their plan to knock out all the walkers so that they can take the guns and head out. Basically, they plan to... There's a fenced-in area with a gap in it, and there's a bunch of walkers in that fenced-in area, and then there's only like 8 walkers hanging around in the main outside. And Rick's going to get in a car and push it through to the fence and block that area so the walkers in there can't get out, and they'll just pick everyone off one at a time. So they start working on this plan. Rick gets over to the car. Now, it could have just been like a musical theme, like part of the background music, but it sounded like the car's, key ignition alarm going off, beep, 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 the sound, or ding, 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 the sound a car makes when you've got a key in the ignition and the door's open. It could have just been that, but I would have thought that sucker would have died a long time ago because it's tied to the battery. Anyway, so he goes around to the driver's side, to push the car, and there's a walker head first in there, and he has to go around to the front of the car and try to pull the walker out, pulls the foot off first, and then pulls the entire lower half of the body off, because, it's just, these walkers, they're all just walking bags of sludge, barely held together. Finally gets the main part off, and this time Michonne's taking out her 8 walkers, and Rick starts pushing. She comes to help push, and he's like, no, you killed all those walkers, I can push this fine. She's like, no, you steer, I'll push. So he hops in, he starts steering, and she's pushing from behind, and then they realize the car has no brakes, or the brakes aren't working or something. So it goes straight through the hole in the fence and lands inside instead of blocking from all the walkers, and Rick has to close the door to keep himself protected, and Michonne hops in the trunk because the trunk was standing open. So, and they're just like, oh yeah, well, it was a good plan, it could have worked, it should have worked, it would have worked if it went through ideally. Anyway, so that's that section. Commercial break comes up. Second word of the night is condition. So your 2 words tonight were one and condition. One condition. Don't really remember where that tied in, but whatever. Getting close to the end now. Come back. Lead the walkers on a merry chase through the carnival. Basically, Rick pops out the sunroof, and they climb out on top of the car, and then they run through the carnival, and they split up so that they can, lead walkers in different directions, and they hop over the barricades between the different rides, but of course the barricades aren't strong enough to hold the walkers back, because they're, just kind of stand right, child safety gate type deals. And then they split up some more, and they take off in different areas, and they kill more walkers, and they kill more walkers. And Rick winds up over near the Ferris wheel. Michonne's like on the other side of the carnival, and he glances over, and he thinks he sees something, so he climbs up on the Ferris wheel, gets about, a quarter of the way up, and looks over. There's the deer, just standing there. It's really, really awesome. Deer's standing there. He's getting ready to take a shot at the deer because he's thinking, man, fresh venison, this would be awesome. And as he's getting ready to take a shot, he looks over and he sees all these walkers heading straight for the deer. Someone with their civilians with their hands tied together. So, God, who knows what was happening at this military outpost. But just as he's, trying to decide, okay, I don't want to shoot the deer because then the walkers will just eat it and that'd be a waste of time for me. Of course, the Ferris wheel falls through and he goes crashing to the ground. Michonne's freaking out, and Rick, he's on the ground. He's trying to get away from the walkers. He has to pull his gun and start shooting them because otherwise, he can't swing an axe from on the ground, and maybe he's injured. I don't know why he didn't just get up. I mean, come on now. And so he's crawling across the ground. Michonne comes running. She's chopping heads, and she's hearing gunshots. And they do a shot over to her point of view, and she's looking. And then you can hear like dry fire because he's run out of ammo because it's not a machine gun. Oh, that was the other thing that happened that really put their plan. Somehow a walker got caught up in a bunch of rebarb, and it was pulling the trigger on his machine gun, and so it was shooting machine gun bullets at them while they were trying to push the car, which is why they couldn't just run away from the car. It was machine gun fire, and that was why Michonne jumped to the trunk. Anyway, I completely forgot about that. It was kind of a funny moment, but it was also kind of one of those really contrived things that, that doesn't just happen. Anyway, so Michonne's looking over, and she's seeing the walkers converge, and they start eating, and she's just devastated because she's just watched Rick shooting all these walkers and now being devoured, and she drops her sword, and you can just see she's ready to follow him to the great beyond when he comes busting out of this area that he apparently hid in a box or something. He comes busting out of the box and axing people, and then he grabs Michonne's sword and he throws it to her, and she takes it and she slaughters all the... Basically, she got faked out, just like we did with Glenn all those seasons ago. Okay. They then proceed from there to the world's most awesome Easter egg hunt, in my mind, where they find all these guns just laying around in the grass, hither and yon, just having a grand old time, picking up guns. Michonne, however, does not look like she's having a grand old time. She looks like somebody shitting her cornflakes. You know? Which probably is a very, very astute observation as to how we all reacted when we were basically saw Glenn die, and then we're told, no, he didn't die, he hid under a dumpster the whole time. We felt like somebody shitting our cornflakes. And any joy we may have taken in the fact that Glenn wasn't dead was the fact that, no, we totally saw him die. That was devastating, people. You're assholes. So, of course, as they're driving back and, Michonne's all, devastated, Rick makes it all about him. Starts talking about how he wishes they could have taken a couple more days out on the road because he hasn't been sleeping. He's blaming himself for Glenn's death. No mention of Abraham, which is really douchey in my mind because technically Abraham was the one who was executed for what they were doing, and Glenn died because Daryl took a pot shot at Negan. But everything's terrible. But you'll be fine. Shake it off. Something along those lines. I'm just sitting here like, really, dude? Really? You couldn't, sympathize with her a little bit? It's like, yeah, I'm my bad. I probably should have shouted something about how I was getting in the box. Don't worry, everything will be fine. I don't know. So, then they show up at the others, or do we have a name for this weirder group? I mean, it's the Skyrim group, is what I'm going to call it. They keep, undead things in armor. Show up there. They're basically told, no, you didn't bring enough guns. We need more guns if you really want to do this. 63 is not enough guns. And it's like, dude, what did you think? You probably need enough guns for everybody. You're going to send people in there empty-handed? I mean, what are you expecting them to do? Be body shields? So they're told, like, no, not enough guns. And Rick's like, okay, well, we're gonna, Rosita, first off, cannot keep her mouth shut. It's like, I understand you're hurting, you're in pain, you just want to do something to make this pain go away. Don't be a bitch. You're just, She's like, okay, fine, we'll just leave and take all of our guns with them. And of course, the lady's like, no, we're still, the deal's still on, we're keeping guns, We're not going to let you just walk away with all these guns. Come on now. So her and Rick have a back and forth. Her, meaning the leader, have a back and forth about, who gets how many guns and this and that. And I mean, this woman is, she's no nonsense. She's like, okay, fine, you can take this many guns and do whatever, And eventually they come to a agreement there. And then they go off and they go back to Alexandria. When they get to Alexandria, Rick goes to meet up with Tara, who is apparently, okay, she does not actually say anything about Oceanside. She says to Rick, I have something to tell you, and then they cut away for the rest of the episode. Now, I know this is supposed to imply that she's betraying Oceanside, but is she actually betraying Oceanside? It would not be unlike the writers to leave us with a detail like that and then have her say something totally different, like, oh, Judith did jumping jacks today, she's just growing up so fast. I don't know. So I'm not saying she's selling out Oceanside just yet. As my mom pointed out, there's really no point of them going to Oceanside, because Oceanside's going to shoot at them, they're going to shoot back, it's not going to be fun for anyone, and it'd make them probably as bad as Negan's people if they just show up to take their guns and, don't actually negotiate. Unless they do negotiate and there's no gunfire exchange. Rosita goes to Sasha saying, hey, if you're really serious about this, here, I brought you a sniper rifle. Besties? And Sasha's totally like, okay, yeah, we can go take out Negan, but you realize we ain't coming back. We can't let them take us alive, so, if this happens, there ain't no coming back. And Rosita's like, nah, chill, we're cool. So it looks like they're about to do a two-woman suicide pact to go take out Negan. And how is this going to screw up all the plans for everything else? Because obviously they're going to get caught if they go do this. So they're going to get caught, and Negan's going to know they have guns, and he's going to be pissed. And here's the other thing I was thinking. Rick and the gang are still kind of screwed for when the Saviors show up for food, because they can't give them any of the RTEs without giving them guns too, because they're not going to believe that you found all these military rations and didn't find any guns, because anybody who would have taken guns would have taken food too. So, yeah, you're kind of screwed. You still need to find stuff for Negan and Saviors, unless you're planning on taking them out before you have their visitation. Considering they show up whenever, who knows. Anyway, and that's the end of the episode. Is Sasha and Rosita planning to do their suicide pact. In the scenes from next week's episode, it basically looks like Carol caught onto something and goes to, say, hey, is everyone really fine? And then gets pissed and goes to help take out Saviors and, whatever else it is that Carol's going to do. And it looks like it's going to be a rather epic episode. It doesn't look like there's going to be Eugene and Negan in it, which makes me sad. But anywho, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe. Please feel free to comment on whatever you did like. Things you think I should focus on more next time around. Whatever. And until next time, this is SD out. Bye!